can't find it on YouTube. Just give me one moment, sorry.
It says the meeting is being live streamed. That's what it says.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good then. Okay. I'll share the screen again.
Keep going down the page.
I think that's the end of the purport.
Omigyan timirandasya ginajana salakaya. Chaksun militam yena tasmai shri. Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pachani Anupasesa Surya Bhambi Vastyati Ane Satayane Vanshikopa Shrivischa Piparasini Evacha Atitanam Bhavane Bhyo Vaishnave Bhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Guru Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse and purport is a continuation from this previous verse. When even though there were many devotees, some family members of the Lord, and here mentions the Yadus, who are also Krishna's family. They couldn't understand his position as the Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead. Here it says this was due only to their misfortune. But the residents of Vrindavan also didn't know Krishna as the Supreme Lord, but that was their good fortune. So we see two different situations where it's similar in the fact that both weren't aware of Krishna's position as the original personality of Godhead. And one was the increase of their relationship with him, and the other one was just a lack of knowledge. So it's interesting how Krishna relates Ye yadam mam prapadyante tams tadaiva bhajami aham mama vartmanu vartante manusha partha sarvasyaha. As one approaches the Lord reciprocates. And therefore one can understand the Lord by the power of his mercy and one's endeavor in devotional service only. Even if the endeavor is up to the standard, still the mercy has to be there. But in the case of the Yadavas, they were learned, they were experienced, they were Krishna's family members, and they also spoke with Krishna, but still, at best, they could understand he was in a manifestation of the super soul and not the original personality of Godhead. But Krishna says, Avajanti Mamudham Manusim Tamarasvatam Param Brahma Agyanatam Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in my human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. So Krishna speaks, and even though people see him, speak to him, they can't understand. Or even if they try, as it says here in the previous part of the purport, the Upanishads are the Vedas. And there's one very well-known verse, which is quoted here. Nayamatma pravachanena labhya namedeya buhuna sutena. Not by great learning, not by one's experiences. No one can know the Lord unless the Lord allows that person to know him. But in the case of the residents of Vrindavan, they had unconventional, pure love for Krishna. And they could only think of him in that way. They didn't, even if someone told them that Krishna was God, they would have simply said, that's very nice, but we only know him because he is such the object of all of our devotion, all of our lives. So therefore, knowing Krishna really is the relationship that one has with Krishna and the mercy that Krishna gives to that person. Not simply the relationship, the mercy has to be there. And Krishna, although he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he did many extraordinary things that no ordinary person could do, even a great person could do, still they were not interested in that. They were simply interested in associating with him and exchanging loving relationships with him because he was the most lovable object of their existence. So both these verses, this one and yesterday's verse, are similar in the sense that it's not simply by personal association that one can know the Lord. Just like we use an example sometimes. We say that there's a king, he's sitting on the throne. And on the king, there is a bug. So the bug is very close to the king, but what's the relationship between the king and the bug? There's no relationship. So physical proximity doesn't really mean one can understand unless Krishna allows that understanding to manifest. And he does that accordingly to his, he has his free will to allow it or not to allow it. And when he was here 5,000 years ago, he interacted with millions, literally millions of living entities. But 100, between 100 and 200 out of those multi-millions only understood his position as the Supreme Lord. Everyone else had a different understanding, and some had no understanding at all. So, as Krishna says, only by undivided devotional service can I be known as I am standing before you, speaking to Arjuna. And only in this way can I be seen directly, and then you can qualify to enter into the mysteries of my existence. So it's loving relations that binds Krishna to the devotee. Prabhupada was talking about this yesterday, and he was saying that, no one can understand Krishna, no one can control Krishna, but Krishna can be controlled by pure love only. He agrees to that because that is his nature. God's nature is pure love. And therefore, when we reciprocate or we approach him in that same mood, he is reciprocating according to his natural existence. He is the all good, loving personality of Godhead, which is the source of all existence. Although he is so powerful, he's a person, he has activities, still he is attracted by love. You see, Prabhupada also gives a nice example. There was one prime minister. His name was in the UK. His name was Gladstone, Prime Minister Gladstone. And so one man came to see him. He actually had an appointment with him. And he met his secretary. The secretary said, well, actually, the prime minister is tied up right now. And so you wait, and after some time. Well, the man was waiting 1 hour, and even more, almost 2 hours. He was getting a little impatient, so he decided to find out what is the prime minister doing. So he walked up to the door, what was the room where the prime minister was in, and he opened the door and he looked in, and he saw that the prime minister was playing horsey with his grandchild. The little boy was riding on his back, and he was running all over the floor. So here's the prime minister. He's acting like a little horse to his grandfather. It's love. A Krishna is like that. You can only approach him with love. And if there's no love, then he reciprocates according to how you approach, as I mentioned, that verse, which is standard. As you approach him, he reciprocates. But when he approaches in love, then he gives himself. And only then can one, even though God is the all-powerful supreme controller, he can be controlled by a devotee with love. But that love has to be developed. It's not something you can just um, think you have. It has to be real. It has to be genuine. It has to come in the form of service also. Well, here's an interesting verse, how the residents of Vrindavan, they are the supreme benedictors of Krishna's presence. And the Yadus, although they had the association, they couldn't understand. Therefore, they were considered to be unfortunate. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Devasya mayaya spristha yachayana sa asritaham brahmyata dinata vakyayar atmayukt tad manoharo. Under no circumstances can the words of persons bewildered by the illusionary energy of the Lord deviate the intelligence of those who are completely surrendered souls. Very important. Under no circumstances can the words of persons who are bewildered by illusionary energy of the Lord deviate the intelligence of those who are completely surrendered souls. Purport: Lord Shri Krishna is the personality, supreme personality of Godhead, according to all evidence in the Vedas. He is accepted by all acharyas, include Sripad Sankaracharya. But when he was present in the world, different classes of men accepted him differently, and therefore their calculations of the Lord were also different. Generally, persons who had faith in the revealed scriptures accepted the Lord as he is, and all of them merged into great bereavement when the Lord disappeared from the world. In the first canto, we have discussed the lamentation of Arjuna and Yudhisthira, to whom the disappearance of Lord Krishna was almost intolerable up to the end of their lives. The Yadavas were only partially cognizant of the Lord, but they are all also glorious because they had the opportunity to associate with the Lord, who acted as the head of their family. And they also rendered the Lord intimate service. The Yadavas and other devotees of the Lord are different from those who wrongly calculated him to be ordinary human personalities. Such persons are certainly bewildered by the illusionary energy. They are hellish and are envious of the Supreme Lord. The illusionary energy acts very powerful on them because, in spite of their elevated mundane education, such persons are faithless and are affected by the mentality of atheism. They are always very eager to establish that Lord Krishna was an ordinary man who was killed by a hunter due to his many impious acts in plotting to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and Jarasandha, the demonic kings of the earth. Such persons have no faith in the statements of the Gita, but the Lord is unaffected by the reactions of work. Namam karmani limpanti According to the atheistic point of view, Lord Krishna's family, the Yadu dynasty, was vanquished due to being cursed by the Brahmins for the sin committed by Krishna in killing the sons of Dhritarashtra. All of these blasphemies do not touch the heart of the devotee of the Lord because they know perfectly well what is what. Their intelligence regarding the Lord is never disturbed by those who are disturbed by the statements of the Asuras are also condemned. This is what Uddhava meant in this verse. So those who have knowledge of Krishna through scriptural evidence and are engaged in devotional service are never bewildered by others or other person's statements. Like people don't, even today, it's very natural that many people don't know Lord Chaitanya. They have many different opinions of who he is. Some great personality who appeared and was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Others say he was an incarnation. But we know from Shastra, we know from the teachings given by the previous acharyas, that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he's in a certain mood and he's performing his activities accordingly. So therefore, everything has to be understood through Shastra. Shastra is the evidence. Shastra is the word of the Lord. And Shastra is not debatable by worldly people. People like to take Shastra and give their own interpretations of it. And most of the time when you listen to it, you almost see how ridiculous their interpretations are, because they always want to present, they have a conclusion that they want to seek as the truth. In other words, if you have an idea of what you want to do, and you look for statements to back up that, and then you can connect those statements as being the authenticity. But if you want to actually know the truth, then you can receive that knowledge from those who know the truth and through the statements of the Lord in Shastra. But there's people who are envious of the Lord. As people said, as Prabhupada says, they're hellish. They're hellish and envious. In other words, their intelligence comes from hell, and they want to enjoy the material world. And when they read about Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, they become envious of him. So, therefore, as it says here, which is the essence of this verse, such persons cannot bewilder those who are fixed in devotional service. But devotees have to become fixed in the knowledge. Otherwise, we find there are people who are very expert in speaking sophistry. Sophistry means half truth, half untruth. They can speak in such a way as to bewilder the minds of neophyte devotees. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita, a neophyte devotee cannot understand all of the arguments or all of the principles that make up the understanding of the Lord's position. And if someone is an expert speaker, they can be defeated, and they may also give up their Krishna consciousness. But a second-class devotee may not always be able to defeat such persons, but they'll never give up because they know what is the actual truth, although they're not expert in argument. And the first-class devotee, he can defeat them and also establish what is the actual standard or understanding. So we have to have an understanding of this knowledge in practice, and not just theoretical. Theoretical will somehow or other be challenged in many circumstances. But when you have a firm understanding, that comes by way of the activities in devotional service. In other words, if you use your knowledge in serving the Lord, it becomes what he calls realized knowledge. It's no longer theoretical knowledge. So Prabhupada wrote so many books, and here we have the Srimad Bhagavatam. How he's discussing this text is discussing everything threadbare, getting down to the basic principles of relationships with Krishna in all and from all angles of vision. We have to read these books, we have to know these books, and we have to speak these books when it comes to speaking to others about the importance of devotional service. So it's not a matter of, well, yeah, I have the books, I bought a set and sitting in my library, and every 6 months I take the dust off it, and that's about it. What's the use of having the books? Oh, they're very nice. They have different colored jackets, and they look very nice on my bookshelf. I mean, I'm not being facetious. I'm trying to explain that people get the books, but they don't read them. You got to read them. I was just with a devotee today. Very nice devotee. He was telling me uh, he read Bhagavatam for 12 hours in 2 days. In 2 days, he spent 12 hours reading Bhagavatam. I thought that was wonderful. This is what it's about, getting absorbed in this knowledge and learning it. We go to school to get knowledge so we can get some position in the material world and fulfill our desires. So we also learn transcendental knowledge so we can get a position in relationship to Krishna in devotional service. And also protect that position by the principles that we live by, and not just, well, why are you a devotee? Well, I'm a devotee because, it's nice. Well, what does it mean, nice? Well, it's, I don't have to go to work, Well, that's very nice too. But that's not the goal. So, so there are different levels of practice, and those who have philosophical knowledge as a principle by which they live by, they are never deviated by circumstances that may come up in their own life or someone else's statements that sound contrary, but very, what we say, interesting. Okay, so we can stop here and open it up for questions.
Thank you, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class. To devotees, if you have any questions, please raise your hands. If you're not able to speak, then you can type your questions on the chat box and I'll read it out for you. It'd be nice if everyone can try to turn their cameras on and we'll get your darshan.
Come on, turn on your camera. You can do it. I know there's somebody behind that name that's flashing on the screen there. Okay, Somadatri, Shri Raja, okay, Shri Krishna Chaitanya. I know you don't like to turn on your camera, but anyway. That's Sonal, Haribo Sonal, welcome. Shri Krishna Chaitanya keeps running away from me. He's going somewhere else now. Okay. Balaram and Tanya, come on, you can do it. Croatians, or they like to be noticed. Come on. Ananya Bhakti, I know you're taking care of your kid, but still pop in. Parikshit. Okay. Kiranathi. Gauri Priya. Yeah, she's in two places at once. Okay. She's got a split personality. You have a split personality. Huh?
It's so silly.
Okay. Who else do we got in there? We're getting that. We're getting almost a full screen. Not yet. There's still a few people still cooking breakfast, so they're hiding behind. Okay, we got Janava. She made it. Who else do you know? Amrita Sundari. Oh, come on. You can do it. Michelle, you're not Michelle, you're Mohanasani Radha. Come on, pop in. Who else we got there? PD, I don't know who PD is. Is that short for PDF or what? Okay, good. Now it looks like a class instead of some kind of crossword puzzle. Okay, okay, now fire away your questions. Oh, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, that's a miracle. Did you hit the wrong button?
No, Maharaj, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
You never come on. Anyway, this is the first time. This must be, I have to celebrate this just the fact.
I am there, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Shiv Kumar, where are you? There you are at the top of the list. Okay, give us that South Indian flair. Ask that question and we can't figure out the answer.
Or we can go ahead and ask a question.
Go ahead, Shiv Kumar. I'm back down to philosophical principles right now.
I'm fully. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Vaishnavas. Um, I am fully surrendered at your lotus feet, Maharaj. Like you are so kind enough to kind of accommodate my sometimes I think undue inclination towards philosophy. Having taken the path of bhakti, still you are so kind enough, merciful enough to accommodate me, Maharaj. I would like to submit my gratitude at your lotus feet, Maharaj. Thank you so much. So, Maharaj, one question I have from today's class, Maharaj, and I have been contemplating on this for quite some time. Um, Ever since my association, Maharaj, under your shelter in spiritual life, I kind of um, acknowledge and realize the importance of service on top of the sadhana as a devotee. Ever since I have been kind of acknowledging, realizing the value of it in an increasing manner. And I also see it in my personal experience, Maharaj, that service does purification because I had this notion that the self introspection, more of analyzing my anarthas, behavior, writing down my mistakes, trying to contemplate on the do's and don'ts and things like that is what would lead to purification. But to my surprise, as per your instructions, I do see it in my experience that the service purifies much more than the self introspection that I do it myself offline as an introvert. So that's my personal experience, Maharaj. So thank you so much for that. So that gives me motivation to kind of take more endeavor and initiative to take up more and more service, Maharaj. But on that, Maharaj, connecting to your point that you shared in today's class, Maharaj, I would like a clarification. If service purifies our heart, then when we hear the devotees who have been in the process for 30, 40 years, who have dedicated their life for the mission, for the institution, for the process, when they say that still I am struggling with anarthas and things like that, how do we understand, Maharaj? Is there anything that is beyond the service that has to be done in order to go through that purification? Is something that I would like to hear from you.
Well, we might have to judge each situation according to the situation or understand it according to the situation. So time does give some indication of person's ability to understand, but not always. As Prabhupada said, you can endeavor in this process for millions of years and never reach the goal if there is some anartha or some anomaly or some offenses that are still lingering. And he also said that you can also become Krishna conscious immediately if you're in the right consciousness. In other words, if you're receptive to the teachings and you work accordingly. So it's up to the individual. Of course, we're all coming from different backgrounds and different experiences, both in material and spiritual lives. So every situation has to be understood accordingly. You might say that people who've been practicing for 30, 40 years, as you mentioned, they still have some material attachment they can't give up. Because of that material attachment, they get stuck. Until that material attachment is removed, they can't take the next step towards devotional service. So Krishna will work with that person and try to help them give it up. He'll do many different things, but sometimes the attachment is so strong. Just like we have the example of Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra knew that his family members were avaricious and they were against the Supreme Lord. But because of his attachment to his family members, he couldn't, he took their side, even though he knew that they were wrong. Even though he knew Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you'll see, even in material life, people get attached to something and they can't give it up, even though they know it's not good for them, such as smoking cigarettes. People read, they hear about, and they also learn how other people get sick, suffer, and die from smoking cigarettes, but still, they're attached. It's called Ne Chung. Ne Chung means difficulty I can't give up. Even though I want to, I can't. It's called weakness of heart. It's called Hriday Dulabhya. The heart is not strong enough to resist what is necessary for making progress in devotional service. So when you find it, one finds himself in that situation, they really need advice and seriously accept advice from those who are in a superior spiritual position. In other words, spiritual master or someone on the same level of the spiritual master. Some people get stuck and they can't move forward. And sometimes because of keeping that attachment, they will start going backwards in their devotional service, which means some of their old attachments, which they gave up, will start to reappear again. So devotional service works in such a way is that if you're not moving towards Krishna, you're moving away from Krishna. There's no question of staying in one place. Because the material energy is pushing, and if you're not pushing against it, you will be also moving back down towards, material attachments, material activities, material association, material infatuations, which are many. So it takes good association and a sincere desire to overcome these attachments. One is starting to reflect, well, I've been practicing for so many years, still I don't have any taste. Then there's something that's blocking you, and you need to understand what it is and find a way to remove that block. Because this material world is designed in such a way as to keep us connected to the activities here. You're in an unnatural situation in the material world. And you have to work with that unnatural situation to come back to your actual pure consciousness, which is Krishna conscious or God conscious, clear conscious. So, yeah. it's a struggle, but all the ingredients for success are available if you take advantage of them. Sometimes when people get stuck, rather than taking more association with devotees, they go the other way and start to try to solve their problems based on their own endeavors. And a lot of times they can't, because the mind will always give you some reasons why whatever it believes you should accept. The mind is always tricking you. Unless you have pure consciousness, then the mind is your friend. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and the enemy as well. And one should, what's the next verse? One should not make friends with the mind, but use the mind and engage it in Krishna's service. One should elevate themselves by the mind and not degrade themselves by the mind. So the mind is the one you have to deal with. That's the rascal. But we create our own mind due to our collective activities over many lives. So whatever state of consciousness you have now is something you've created. Someone said to me, the mind is almost like another person. Yeah. When you start becoming Krishna conscious, you realize that your mind is actually working against you to keep you away from Krishna conscious. Therefore, you have to inject within the consciousness those principles that connect you with the process of devotional service. In other words, you have to use everything in Krishna's service. There's the first verse in the Nectar Instructions. What is it? Manasa, what is the first?
Vacho Vegam.
Vacho Vegam, Manasa Vegam, Kroda Vegam, Upasta Vegam, like that. All of the different Vegams. Vegams means pushing. These pushings are pushing us towards activities in the material world. You have to engage those pushings towards Krishna. That's all. Otherwise, your mind will take you to hell fast. Or it'll keep you away from actually making progress in devotional service. One has to control the mind by the intelligence and engage the intelligence and nurture the intelligence by higher knowledge. That's why I say read the scriptures, hear about the scriptures, listen to the classes, reflect on your situation and try to see where you are and where you need to go in order to make further progress. This is introspection is a part of understanding our situation and moving forward, getting rid of those blocks. Blocks are material attachments, or misconceptions about devotional service. Bhagavan Chaitanya Prabhu, Haribo, Haribo.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Vaishnavas everywhere. Guru Maharaj, in reaction to Shivakumar Prabhu's question about the number of years that a devotee is practicing, there's something that I remember when in my Karmi world, my boss told me one time. I'm wondering if it applies here. And what he told me was, there are employees who have worked for 5 years. They are doing 5 times 1 year, the same thing over and over again, with no desire to expand, go over and above, go above and beyond. And there are others that are like burning stars. They put so much effort in their first year, second year, they're growing constantly. I am wondering if the effort and our own desire and for expanding and doing better applies here. Like, is there something like that?
Yeah, there is, but then there's Krishna's mercy.
Mercy, right?
Yeah, what you're doing is by you making that effort, you become the Rupa Goswami says, Utsahan Nishchaya Darya Tatat Karma Pravartanam Jana Sangha Sadhuvriti. He gives the 6 principles by which one can successfully execute devotional service. And the first is enthusiasm. But then, what is enthusiasm? Sounds like a nice word, and you can also give your own definition, but enthusiasm means to endeavor with intelligence. To endeavor with intelligence. Not just endeavor, but use your intelligence. In other words, endeavor according to the principles that govern the activities of devotional service. And then you work with, if you get some obstacles, then you have to work with that. And then even if you have no obstacles, still you have to be patient. So yeah, this if you're not eager for Krishna, you'll never get him.
Wow.
You
Yes.
have to be eager for Krishna. You have to want Krishna more than anything, even life itself.
But to get to that state requires what, Maharaj?
Clear understanding of the process of devotional service and good association.
Wonderful.
And understand, this is my interest. I've been in this material world for how many lives? Jaya, Maya Vase, Kacho Bese. We've been in this world life after life after life after life after life. This is not our first life. And we're still, connected with the same activities, basically. So when we get the opportunity to get out of this cycle of birth, death, disease, and old age, and the sufferings that come by having a material body, and living in a world where you can't fulfill your desires anyway, because whatever you do, you lose.
Yes.
Everything is lost.
Yeah.
No matter what, no matter how great you are, how much you gain anything, time will take it away. And if it doesn't take it away immediately, they'll take it away in due course of time. So why it's like a guy who goes to a gym and builds up its muscles and then punches himself in the face, It's life.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that happens. There are some people who smoke after going to the gym, so that's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes into the so. But the point is, we're Krishna Das, we're not Maya Das. That's who we are. We're the
Wow.
living entity who doesn't belong in the material world, belongs in the spiritual world with Krishna.
Well,
This life in this world is an anomaly. That's all it is. It's just a series of lives that we have adopted due to our association with the external energy, which is
yeah.
Krishna's binding energy. We have to face the fact that the life we live is not actually life. It's just, it's a punishment for leaving Krishna in the spiritual world.
Yes, ma'am.
The spiritual world is 3 times greater than all of the material world put together. There are millions of planets in the material world, and there's millions of universes also. And there's countless numbers of living entities, but that's only one fourth of all of existence. 3/4 is the spiritual world. We have no understanding of the spiritual world except from what we hear from Shastra, from Guru. But then again, we can learn about it and start to see, how to actually achieve what we're looking for in the material world is easily achievable in our relationship with Krishna. We're looking for happiness. We're looking for relationships. We're looking for knowledge, looking for peace. We're looking for freedom from suffering. All of these things we work in this world to get. Why do people go to work? Not because they want to go to work, because they want
No.
something from going to work so they can somehow fulfill their desires in this world to be happy. But you don't need to do all that. Just become Krishna conscious. You'll be happy. Is there anybody in the material world who is actually happy?
I haven't met anyone, Maharaj. No.
No, you won't either. And if you meet somebody who says they're happy, then that's Krishna, then he's Krishna. But then otherwise, there's nobody in this material world who's happy. Everyone is struggling, struggling, struggling. If they're not struggling with adhyatmika, they're struggling with adhibhautika. If they're not struggling with that, they're also inflicted with adhidaivika. It's one after another. Cold, too hot, not enough money. My wife doesn't like me. so many problems. She only likes me when I give her money. So many problems.
Yes.
It's problematic.
Mhm.
It's problematic. It's what Krishna says it. He says it 2 times in the Bhagavad Gita. When he says something over again, it has some value. He says, Dukkhalayam asashvati.
Ashashvatam.
That
Yeah.
this is miserable and it's temporary.
A temporary. Yeah.
He says, Anityam asubham. Asu, subham means happy. Asubham means miserable. Nityam means eternal. And nityam is temporary. He said it twice in 2 different verses in the ninth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. One in the 8th chapter, one in the 9th chapter. But we still think that, that's for everybody else, but I'm different.
Yeah.
I can make it.
Yeah. Yes. This
Nobody
time
else,
is
nobody else can make it, but I got it.
I got it.
So learning how to use whatever Krishna gives you in Krishna's service is really the means by which we can move forward. You got some intelligence, use it for Krishna. You have some words, speak about Krishna. You have some resources, use that to support Krishna conscious activity. If you have your life, then give your life to Krishna. If you can't do that,
Wow.
the thing is, we don't have enough knowledge about Krishna, and therefore we don't trust him, only because we don't know enough about him. And then we start to think, well, those who represent Krishna, we don't trust them either.
Yeah. Yeah. Faith is blind, Maharaj. We have to trust from a place of blind faith and then get to actual faith, which is the difficult part, I think.
Real faith will reveal the truth. If you have faith, I mean, Arjuna, he says, Param Dharma, Param Brahma, Pavitram Vidam Uttamam. And he goes on to say, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. You are the source of everything. You are the divine personality of Godhead. All the great sages, such as Narada, Sita, Vyasa, and Deva, have said the same thing about you, and now you are saying the same thing about yourself. So when Krishna speaks about himself, people don't believe it. But when the Krishna's devotees speak, then it becomes more believable because they know from experience.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sonal, wonderful to see you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. I attend your classes, but there's something or the other going on, so never get a chance to ask you questions. Since you are talking about understanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Maharaj, there are certain other bhakti paths, not our bhakti path, who advocate that their guru is the incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when I heard that, I was shocked, and I literally turned off whatever I was watching. So how to understand? Because it seems that they have read the scriptures, they understand certain process of bhakti, but still they interpret things like this and say it openly to people.
Anybody can say anything. And anybody can find evidence to back up what they say. If you're intelligent, you know how to speak, and then you know how to support whatever you say by scripture and by other sources. So there are people who are like that. They want to take advantage of it. Yeah. When I was at the Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri in 2001, there was a whole group of people. Again, in 2014, we met the same group. They were all followers of this one person who claimed to be Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's no longer on the planet right now. His name was Kripalu. But yeah, so they, you know, but we have evidence about Lord Chaitanya appears at a certain time. He takes on a certain mother and father. He has certain activities. And everything is there in Shastras to give evidence of who is a real manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Everything is in Shastra. If the person there who's claiming to be is not mentioned in Shastra, then their claim is cheating. Shastra is the foundation, the knowledge. Yeah.
So is it to understand that let them speak, and because the way the fact that they are speaking like this, it kind of exposes them as well. So rather than telling them not to speak.
As it says in this verse we just read, you know, people might say anything, but devotees are not bewildered by such persons because they know the actual truth. So we have to have that knowledge. Otherwise, we might also be, what we say, influenced by what they say. But the best thing to do is stay within the confines of Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and you'll always be in the position to know what is truth and what is not truth. Prabhupada spoke a lot about what is not truth. A lot, because he understood we had to unlearn a lot of the things that we were learning that were making it difficult for us to understand the actual truth. And so Prabhupada spoke a lot about those who are coming in the name of spirituality, but actually are only, you know, making a show. So much. Krishna also says it too. Krishna exposes the cheaters in his own statements. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samanvitaha mudo yo avajananti lokal yam ajam avyayam. I am covered by my eternal curtain of Maya, and therefore the deluded world knows me not, who are unborn and inexhaustible. Fools deride me when I come in my transcendental form. They don't know my supreme dominion over all that being, my transcendental nature and supreme being. So no one can understand Krishna unless they actually take up devotional service.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Just like people like to become popular by taking something that's already popular and turning it around and putting their name on it. Yeah, people they write their own Bhagavad Gita as I see it, they call it. And then because Bhagavad Gita is popular, they present it and say, well, here we have a new edition of Bhagavad Gita with greater information. Prabhupada said, if you want to write some books, right, don't take Krishna's words and, try to become popular using that. Just write your own book. You see politicians and movie stars and other persons who are popular in the material world, they take pictures holding the Bhagavad Gita. And then people look, oh, he's Bhagavad Gita. But they're all cheating. There's so many cheaters out there. How many real dollar bills are there, but how many counterfeits are there?
I think Prabhupada wrote a lot, and I initially used to get bewildered that why did he write so much about these things? And now, as you practice devotional service, you know why he wrote all those things about Mayavadis. He wrote quite a lot.
Spoke about it and he wrote about it. Because it's very prominent in today's world, especially in Kali Yuga. Manda sumanda mateo, people are cheaters. Can't become popular in the material world, so let me become popular in the spiritual circles by creating my own spirituality. Yeah, I had a dream that I was an incarnation of Narada Muni, and here I am. I don't have a vina, but I got a guitar, so something like that. There's so many out there, so many cheaters. I could spend a whole evening just speaking about them, but I don't think it's important to waste time.
Thank you, Maharaj.
When you actually engage in devotional service, you get knowledge, you get happiness, you get freedom from material suffering. It comes automatically. It takes you away from this material world and brings you to the spiritual consciousness. These other groups, all they do is promise you something material if you do some kind of spiritual practice. You can be rich, your wife can actually talk to you, so many different things that you can get from, well, in other words, they always attach material benefits onto spiritual practices. All of them do. You'll see it. You become powerful. But we're not interested in anything. We're interested in Krishna, to serve Krishna and become a devotee of Krishna. So I'm not looking for anything in this world. We've been through that. We know what it's like. Yes, Silvesh.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada, oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Guru Maharaj, carrying on this topic, that these cheaters are making a huge offense at Krishna's lotus feet. So what happens to them karmically? It must be really bad for them.
Yeah, and the nectar of the I'm sorry, the Sri Ishupana says that the teachers of irreligion in the name of religion will go to hell. they are more dangerous than irreligious people because they're presenting irreligion in the name of religion. Therefore, they are more punishable than people who are ignorant. Yeah, there's some verses. I can't remember the actual verses in the Sri Upanishads, but it's there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I mean, if a policeman dresses, if a thief dresses up as a policeman, then you're in trouble because you call him for help and he'll just, make your life more miserable. So they're someone who presents himself as someone who is not, they're not, is more dangerous than one who is just ignorant.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sridevi Mataji, would you like to go ahead and ask a question?
Yes, please. Thank you, Srijana. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Speaking of practicing the process of Krishna consciousness correctly on a practical day-to-day basis, sometimes there are dilemmas where it's not very clear what is to be done. For example, now that I have come to Mumbai, the pollution is very high, the disease prevalence is very, very high. So we get a lot of warnings. My roommates who are also doctors, they have warned me that malaria and dengue fever, which is even more horrible than malaria, are pretty endemic in Mumbai. So kill mosquitoes. This is the advice, and I can understand there's great danger of acquiring all these diseases. So in this situation, is it all right to kill a mosquito that is coming to attack me, or I should make sure that I take all precautions, leaving the fellow alive, but yet not coming anywhere near me?
Take precautions, but under certain circumstances, you might find your precautions are not good enough. But it says if anyone attacks you with a deadly weapon, you can kill them. Then there's no sin incurred. Prabhupada was in Mayapur, and Prabhupada would get massages from his personal assistants in the evening, and that personal assistant would come inside of the mosquito net with Prabhupada, and he would be massaging Prabhupada. So one time, the uh, the uh, uh, the devotee who was massaging Prabhupada said, "Prabhupada, there's a mosquito inside the net here." Prabhupada said, "Never mind, continue." But then the mosquito landed on Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, "Oh, now he's attacking. Get him." So usually, if they attack you, yes, but try to prevent them from coming into your areas by taking precautions. Nowadays, they sleep with a mosquito net and use mosquito repellent. Don't let people leave the doors open when they walk into your house. Otherwise, mosquitoes come in. So yeah, there. What is it? Dengue? What is it called? Dengue?
Yes.
Dengue.
It's the correct pronunciation is dengue fever, but people call it dengue for some reason. But the correct pronunciation is dengue fever, and it's horrible because if you get this fever, it's like the name itself is called bone breaking fever. That means it feels as though your bones are breaking. It's so painful.
Yeah, what is that other one that's called? Chicken something?
Chikungunya. Yeah,
Chicken.
that's another one. Chikungunya. That's another horrible one.
Yeah, that's even worse. So welcome to the material world. Material world is, there's other living entities are designed to give you trouble. They're called tax collectors, government agents, and relatives. That was for H.H.Candramauli gave that one. So material world, padam, yeah, vipadam. It's a place you correct one difficulty and then there's two more. Just what can you do? There's ghosts. There's people who just prey on other people to take advantage of them. That's their business. It's this material world is what it is. So with mosquitoes, if I mean, yeah, if I see a mosquito in the room, I'll somehow try to catch him and throw him out. But then if he hides, then I just leave him alone. But if he reappears, then I'll try to get rid of him. But if he attacks me, then I'll get out the ammunition. Yeah, so mosquitoes, scorpions, snakes. These are the lower living entities. Then you got the higher living entities. They are powerful demons, which are causing trouble to everybody in the world. So many problems. Problems that all the problems in the world are due to the demons. Yeah, this is what this world is about. If you want to be sure, or at least somewhat sure of being protected, just remember Krishna always. You're remembering Krishna always, you're in the best position to free yourself from these different things that could come upon you. Krishna will protect you if you take shelter of him.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for that very sobering reminder of how essential it is to remember Krishna all the time.
Yeah, I'm in Mayapur and it's cold, so we don't hardly see any mosquitoes. But then again, give it for one more month and then they'll be around. Question? We have a question from Anjali. She's sitting in the room.
Smash.
Guru Maharaj class, he said we need to get evil until and unless we are not evil, we cannot get Krishna. On the other hand, one time in the class, he quoted one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, where he said, it is only Krishna's mercy that we can understand. It sounds little contradictory. Why should, like, we cannot get evil without his mercy?
Well, Krishna's mercy is always available, but you have to be eager to get it. So it's there, it's available. Krishna's not withholding his mercy, he's offering it, but you have to show that you actually want the mercy by your surrender, by your devotion, by your eagerness. If you want something, then you have to go out and get it. Not that if you just like say I'm hungry, but I'm not going to sit here and do anything. I'm just going to wait for the food to come. There you go. So what will happen? You'll sit there and starve to death. You have to make an endeavor for anything you want in this world. Same with in spiritual life.
Going about the devotional service, like when we started understanding Krishna consciousness, every beat is being encouraged to preach. So how this preaching gets so like how does preaching makes Krishna give us mercy to other masterpiece?
Why does Krishna come to the material world? To save the conditioned souls. So if you're doing the same work that he's doing, how dare you become to Krishna? And so then those who preach become very dear to Krishna. Everyone is dear, but then there's more than those that are especially dear. Those who sacrifice their own time, energy, resources to reach out and give Krishna consciousness to others. It's just like in the family. The father may have many children. Some children obey the father and others don't obey. And then there's the sons that go out of the way to please the parents. So the parents will reciprocate according to how the child is approaching. But the parent loves all of the child equally, but he'll reciprocate according to how the child approaches. So we have to be enthusiastic in our Krishna consciousness in order to receive Krishna's mercy. It's a process. Chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, read and understand his philosophy, go to the temple and worship the Lord in his different forms, associate with and take opportunities to serve the devotees, take Krishna Prasadam, go to the holy places. These are all activities that enhance our Krishna consciousness. Especially chanting.
Thank you. Maharaj, are you okay for more questions?
Yeah,
Is that-
Ashutosh has his hand up there.
Yeah. Shadveta Prabhu. Oh, you're on mute, Prabhu.
Sorry. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, and all glories to Vaishnavas. Maharaj, I have a question. So, we consider, or from the scriptures point of view, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an incarnation of Lord Krishna himself. But when we look at the Dashavatars, we do not see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in those Dashavatar. Like in that sequence, after Krishna, we see Gautam Buddha, and then after that we see Lord Kalki as Dashavatar. So why is that a reason, Maharaj, that we don't include Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Dashavatar?
Yeah, well, there's 6 different types of incarnations of the Lord. One is Guna avatars, Purushottam avatars, Leela avatars, Shaktavesha avatars. Lord Chaitanya is not within the category of avatar. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Das avatars are the Leela avatars. They're different personalities that come to perform a particular leela, and they take on a particular form for that leela. They're also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they have a certain mission. Lord Chaitanya, he has a mission, but he's God himself. He's not an incarnation. He is the Supreme Lord, but he plays the role of a devotee of the Lord in order to teach from the point of student how to serve the teacher. In other words, Lord Chaitanya is acting like a devotee in order to teach all of us how to worship the Lord. So it's a special incarnation. It only comes once in every 4,320,000,000 years. He's called Chana Avatar. He's hidden also. Chana means hidden. He's called Tri Yogi. Krishna comes in three of the yugas as himself, and in one he comes as a devotee of himself. That's in this age. So he's special. He's outside of all of these other categories.
Understood. And I was reading more about it, Maharaj, and I was actually coming across something called avatar and avatari. So
He's
would you?
avatari. That means he's the source of all the other avatars. The absolute truth is one, but the absolute truth expands into two for the sake of Leela. But then it comes back into one in the incarnation of Lord Chaitanya. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahyanya. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, but he's in the mood of Srimati Radharani, his internal pleasure potency. So he's playing the role of Radharani's devotion to himself. It's a very mysterious and very hard to understand incarnation. But he's Namo Mahavananaya. He's very merciful at the same time. So don't categorize him with anyone else. He's in his own category. He's avatari.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Maharaj, there's one question in the chat box. Is it okay if I read it out?
You're in charge.
Okay, so Bhavya Prabhu is saying, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Guru Maharaj, in Shruti Vedas, there are references like Eko Rudra Dvitiyena Tasyu, etc. It would show Shiva as supreme god. So can you please explain how devotees can interpret these verses?
Yeah, for different classes of people, one can worship accordingly. Not everyone can worship the absolute truth personality of Godhead. So for people on different levels of existence, worship is designed for that level. But Shiva is not, he's not the Supreme Lord. We know that from Shastra. If Shastra says one thing in one Shastra and one thing in another Shastra, you have to take the highest Shastra in order to get the actual evidence. So Bhagavatam is Amalam Puranam. It's the highest teachings of transcendental knowledge and devotional service. So in the Bhagavatam, it says Vaishnava Yata Shambhu. Shambhu he's the greatest Vaishnava, therefore Shiva is known as the greatest devotee. But there are people who worship him as the Supreme Lord, and he will take them to Krishna or to Ram through their own worship of him. So he's elevate them from one stage to another. There's also Puranas that say that Agni, the fire god, is the supreme one. In the Agni Purana. So, but there's different types of worship for different classes of people. But that's just for elevation. It's not the highest, that's all. If you ask different people about a question about some situation, you might get different answers, but you ask the person who is the authority on that question, then you get the right answer. Bhagavatam is the authority. Bhagavatam is Amalam Puranam, it's pure. It's Paramahansa Samhitam, it's for the highest forms of devotional service. We have to understand things in gradations also. Bhagavad Gita is preliminary knowledge. Bhagavatam is that same knowledge taken to higher stages of pure devotional service. Krishna doesn't talk about the intimacy of Krishna, of transcendental activities in Bhagavad Gita. He just talks about the principles that make up devotional service. Well, Bhagavatam talks about Krishna and Vrindavan, Krishna and his different incarnations. You don't find that in Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you, Maharaj. To devotees, is there any more questions? Maharaj, I think there's no more questions. So would you like to end the class here today? Is that okay?
You're in charge.
I think we're 30 minutes over time as well.
You have to take charge and tell me what to do. I don't know what to do.
Okay, I guess we can end here today. I think tomorrow's class is with ISKCON Harrisburg devotees. Oh no, sorry, it's Sunday tomorrow, sorry. Never mind. Yeah, so thank you everyone for attending today's class. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Jai.
Ki jai.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Hare
Guru
Krishna,
Maharaj.
Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sujana.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sujana Mataji.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hari Hari. Thank you for all the devotees. We'll hope to see you tomorrow.
Hare Krishna. See you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hello.
Krishna Krishna.
The host doesn't know how to end this program, does she?
Just want to get more of your darshan, Maharaj, that's why.
Yeah.
Darshan is for Krishna.
And of Krishna's pure devotee too, Guru Maharaj. We can't get enough of you.
Very bold.
Okay. None of these statements are in shot. Okay. Hare Krishna. I'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you everyone. Thank you for attending today's class. See you all tomorrow. April.